Hi Chakits, I have been following you and watching your YouTube channel for years.
I have decided to finally relocate to Las Vegas and want to start a new chapter in my life. I know you're the perfect realtor to help guide me to find my next dream home. I am looking for a modern kitchen, large backyard with a pool and a golf course community.
My name is Chakits Krulsawat with Simply Vegas, a licensed real estate agent out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I help buyers like this all the time, so if you're looking for a licensed professional, give us a call at 702-319-1092 or visit lvhomeexperts.com. Buying a home starts here. Is your credit score holding you back from purchasing a home? GC Credit Coaches is a repair company that's made easy. Their goal is to challenge and remove all negative errors that hurt your credit score. On average, GC clients see about 10.2 negative items removed over 4 months. Start improving your credit score today with a simple 2-minute online enrollment for a free consultation and a complete credit audit. GC Credit Coaches offers competitive monthly pricing, no contracts, no hidden fees, and the service stops once you are satisfied. GC Credit Coaches removes inquiries, collections, charge-off bankruptcies, and repossessions. Don't forget to visit gccreditcoaches.com. And welcome live to the LV Home Experts Podcast. This is where we talk about real estate and financing. Today we have a very special guest, Darren Marquez. He works with Huntington and Ellis. He's a luxury real estate agent out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's funny, when I talk about real estate or think about luxury real estate, believe it or not, this guy is definitely in the top 5. So today we're going to pick his brain. What's going on, man?
What's happening, man?
Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time to come on out here. I really, really do appreciate it. I mean, you could be anywhere else, but you're taking in 1 hour of your day to show up. Look at all these people showing up. Now we have 34 people.
I love
People
it.
are just piling in right now. So I want to get right to it. First thing and foremost, I want people to know who you are as a person,
Sure.
right? When did you actually get into real estate?
So I chose to get into real estate the best time in real estate, 2008.
Oh, that's perfect time. When everybody was leaving.
Yep, couldn't have found a better time. Everybody was exiting. I was coming in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, this is a perfect time. So I got my license in 2008. It was a funny story. I actually had a guy from the gym that I knew that I didn't know this guy was a millionaire. He just always said he was in real estate. And so him and I would do cardio all the time. And he saw me reading my book one day and he's like, are you going to real estate school? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you do know what's going on right now, right? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, what are you going to do? And I go, well, I'm going to sell luxury. And he goes, oh, okay.
Nice.
And he says, well, why are you going to sell luxury? And I said, well, in good times, luxury clients sell homes, and in bad times, they buy opportunities.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love it. He goes, I'm going to introduce you to the top team in town. And he actually made an introduction to me to Ivan Scher and Florence Shapiro. And that's where I started with the Shapiro and Scher group. And it's kind of funny because about 6 months later, Ivan's like, talking to me about this guy that made the introduction. And he's like, so how'd you know Danny, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I just know him from the gym, man. I said, what real estate group is he with? And he's like, no, Darren, he's a developer, like a really large developer. Like he sold like half the land in town. And I'm like, oh, he's like, you know that $10 million listing we got? I go, yeah. He goes, that's his house. And I was like, oh shit. Okay.
You know, one thing that I noticed about you, you really bring the light into the room.
Well, thanks, man.
And I think that's a cool thing as a real estate agent, man. Like, I feel the vibe, man. Like, I don't know. I just want to hang out with you.
I love it.
That's so cool.
600 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh, is that what it is?
And a Claritin D.
So you started off with one of the biggest companies here in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And they pretty much dominate the whole luxury space, obviously, right?
Yep.
And let's just kind of fast forward. You are no longer with them.
Nope. So I was there for almost 11 years. 5 of those last years that I was there, I was actually at Ascaya, luxury home community here in Henderson. I was the general manager there. And then I actually went back and managed Ivan's team. The last year that I was at Ascaya, I managed the team as well for the last year.
Yeah.
And then when my contract came up to an end at Ascaya, I went back to the team for about 6 months. And Ivan knew that I was getting, a little antsy.
Yeah.
And I finally went to him and just said, hey, man, I think it's time for me to move on. And I was excited to start my own team and build my own dream. You know
what? That's a true leader right there. They build up their agents like that. and the agents can go off on their own and do their own thing and accomplish all the goals that how you're accomplishing. I'm like, you are like literally one of the top dogs out here.
Thanks, brother.
Which is crazy to me.
I appreciate that.
It's got to be the personality. You know what? I'm going to have to change my whole ensemble on the personality.
Got to shave the head, man. That's why. Look at
Is that
Ivan.
what it is?
Look at Ivan.
Okay. So you talked about Ascaya, right? I think you're the only guy here in Las Vegas that knows Ascaya in detail.
I know it inside and out, man. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for the viewers here, because when it comes to the luxury game, right, there's certain areas throughout the Las Vegas Valley, right, especially at this price point where people are shopping homes, 5 million, 10 million. There's really not too many spots, but Ascaya is like one of the newest communities, correct?
Yeah, Ascaya is one of the newest. I always tell everybody, you know, it will be one of the last luxury communities with land available.
Okay.
Believe it or not, you know, a lot of people think that Nevada has tons of land, but there's a large percentage of the land is owned by government. And so really the Vegas Valley is running out of land. And so and as far as luxury communities, there's really not a lot left and there's nothing new coming up, right? So like you've got the Summit and stuff like that, but you know, Ascaya is a great community. The developer, it's still a passion of mine is that community. But the developer, they own Rosewood hotels and so you can feel that vibe when you go in there. But yeah, it's an incredible community, man. They actually started that back in 2004. It was the largest excavation site in the United States for 5 years.
Wow.
They had the financial wherewithal to be able to close it in 2009 when the market was bad. They gave everybody their money back and they said, come back and see us when we reopen. We don't know when that'll be.
Yeah.
5 years later, they came back to Florence and Ivan. They said, hey, do you think it's time to reopen? We see the market starting to pick back up.
Yeah.
Ivan and Florence said, yep. They appointed me out there. We reopened back in 2014. And that's where it's been from there. They've continued to grow. So
you mentioned something about that place a couple of days ago when we did a collaboration on one of your $7 million listings, I think it was. Yep. Matter of fact, if you guys want to check out our YouTube channel, I did a full video walkthrough on it. And also check it out on Chakits 2.0 where we did a collaboration. But anyway, you mentioned something about the rock, right?
Yeah.
The landscaping there and I guess the retaining wall.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, you know, since it was the largest excavation site in the United States, the one thing that when Henderson approved that community, they said, look, you know, we'll approve this, but you guys have got to figure out what you're going to do with that rock because we're not going to allow these large excavators and trucks and everything going up and down Roma Hills Drive. So you just need to repurpose that rock on site. So that's what they ended up doing. So that's where, you know, now these rock walls have become like a trademark of Ascaya. It's what people know Ascaya for. A lot of people think that they are retaining walls. They're not. There's only about 15% of them that are actual retaining walls. Most of that is decorative because they had nothing else to do with the rock but make rock walls out of it. And so that's where that came from.
So how big is Ascaya? So how many lots?
670 acres, 313 custom home lots, 1,000-foot elevation change within the community, which is pretty cool. So you drive in at about 2,100 feet in elevation, and you end up at about 3,100 feet in elevation in just a short drive to the top of the community.
Now, I noticed some of these lots were going for about like $500,000, but it seems like you can't get anything in there now for like less than $800,000.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. When we first opened, we had some lots that were in the high 4s, low 5s. Those were interior lots. And then anything that was with a view, those started at about $850,000, $900,000. Now those same lots are probably 1.8, 1.9.
Okay. So I do want to show the viewers here where we're at. So here's Las Vegas. Here's the west side. Here's the south side. We're going to kind of zoom in a little bit here. And we're right about, I would say,
a little to your right.
To my right?
Yeah, go to the right.
My right?
Yeah.
Here we go. Where are we at here?
Almost there.
Roma Hills. Okay, here we go. I'm lost. Okay, so basically we're right up here. You come up on the hill. That is all this right here.
Yep.
Which is amazing. So we also have like a clubhouse here too as well, right? You were talking about?
Yep. So they built a approximately 25,000 square foot house. I mean, clubhouse. They spent just under $25 million on that. You know, the one thing that's unique in every developer that came into that community, every one of them are like, man, this developer has brass balls. They're like, I've never seen somebody develop the whole community at one time.
Yeah.
So, you know, most developers that will develop in phases, they'll sell out 20 or 30 lots and then they start the next phase. This developer developed all 313 lots at one time. the light poles, the mailboxes, everything down to the very last lot that will be 15 years away from selling is all done. It's all been completed.
Do you think there was a strategy behind that?
Yep. So it was all about economy of scale back then.
Yeah.
So they thought, well, if we do this over the next 20 years, the cost on that same light pole could be 4 times what it is now. And so let's just spend the money now, put it all in and get it done. And then that way we save that money in the long run.
Now, is this one of those communities that don't, or luxury communities that don't have a golf course? Because I see a lot of these luxury communities will have a golf course, but this one doesn't, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional at the time. They were a little ahead of their time, meaning that, now that there's no longer new golf courses allowed to be built, Ascaya was really kind of ahead of its time in really being focused. One, their whole design criteria, and this was long before the water district put this into place, but it's all about desert landscaping there. It's all about desert contemporary design. Everything's about the desert and living in the desert. And so that was part of the reason why they didn't want a golf course, is because it didn't really lend to what their vision was. And so their vision was views, and then also the way that you can see that it's been designed.
Yeah.
The developer, the owner, Henry Chang, his vision was that he wanted people to drive along Horizon, look up on that hill, and that hill would be like an art gallery, a display of all these incredibly architecturally designed homes. That was his whole vision behind this when he started.
Wow. Now, could that affect the luxury market if somebody's getting into something like this where you don't have those type of amenities? Do you think that's okay?
It's interesting. A lot of the clients that moved in there moved away from the golf course.
Really?
In fact, one of my clients lived on the golf course here in one of the major communities. And she said, Darren, we always thought that we wanted to be on the golf course until we lived on the golf course. And we realized that during the summer, she goes, when I'm trying to hang out at the pool, I've got all these people in my backyard because they're right there at the golf course. And those homes, a lot of those homes have had challenges with break-ins and stuff because they can hop right over the fence right there at the golf course. So a lot of people like to be set back from that golf course a little bit. And for this clientele, most of them have said the same thing there too. They're like, what? When I golf, I like to golf at multiple golf courses. So it doesn't really matter where I live because I'm going to go to multiple different places anyway. So
for me, I think the view outweighs the golf course.
Oh yeah, that view there is incredible. Yeah.
I think like almost every lot in there has a beautiful view.
About 70% of them.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is, this is the only community that has all modern homes, desert modern, right?
Yep.
So how does it work if somebody buys a lot in this neighborhood, right? Is there a time frame to build, and do you have to get it approved? Like, how does that process work with a custom home?
Yeah. So there's, you'd come in, you select your lot, then you're going to pick your architect and your builder. Once the architect has completed the design, then you're going to submit it through the design review committee. And then the design review committee will, they'll give you their feedback. They give you guidelines up front so your architect knows what to follow and how the home should look and certain types of things. Like one of the things, for example, that they require is that every architect provides a wind and shade study to make sure that the home is positioned to its best ability to limit the amount of wind impacting that home, and also to eliminate the amount of direct sunlight coming into that home. So that's the one thing a lot of people don't understand, is that by design, Desert Contemporary, by design, it is more energy efficient because of the overhangs and stuff like that to protect it from the sun.
Now, talking about energy efficient, there are a couple companies out there now. A lot of these homes, especially at this magnitude, right? They're starting to get in more into like the AI, right?
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence. And some of these luxury homes that I go into, right? It's not even equipped with all that stuff, which is kind of fascinating to me. If you spend $5 million, your home should be a very smart home. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I think the difference is 10 years ago, you had, I don't want to call them basic systems, but Crestron, for example, right? Yeah. It was a pretty universal system. There wasn't a lot of options. People didn't really have a lot of choices. And so that's what everybody used to put in their home. What we found nowadays is that a lot of clientele, just like some people love Samsung and some people love iPhone, everybody or they like Mac or PCs. People are that same way with their home technology. And so they all want different operating systems. So what we found, even a lot of the inspiration homes that we built in Ascaya, we didn't put those systems in. We pre-wired for all of it so that it was ready to go and it could be easily retrofitted. But we found that everybody had their, if we put, Crestron in, somebody come in and say, I don't like Crestron. I want, something different, right?
Yeah.
They wanted something different than what we had. And then also these systems nowadays, they get dated so quickly.
I noticed that with technology.
Yep.
But as long as you pre-wire it, you should be fine.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Now, another thing with the luxury, right? I noticed that right now everybody's into that desert, contemporary, modern. I feel like homes out here is so trendy.
Yeah.
And also I noticed like neighborhoods like tend to move. Like when I first came out here 20 years ago, right? I remember like on Sunset, right?
Yeah.
Sunset was like one of the hottest spots, but now you drive down Sunset, it's like, where did everybody go?
Yep. Yep.
Does that happen with the luxury market?
Yeah. Vegas, it's grown so fast.
Yeah.
That everybody wants to be in the latest and greatest, right? So I'll give you Summerlin as an example. Those original communities like Tournament Hills and Eagle Hills, when those first opened, that's where everybody gravitated to. Then the newer communities like Red Rock and the Ridges opened, and then everybody went from those communities up to Red Rock and the Ridges. And then the Summit opened, and you've seen a large flood of buyers come from the Ridges and go to the Summit. So that is the one thing that's unique about Summerlin. Henderson doesn't really have that as much. A lot of the communities here, I know some of the buyers have stayed in those same communities for a long time. They love that community. And it's not quite the same layout like Summerlin is, where people are moving up to those newer communities.
So I'm sure you get calls, right, from these luxury buyers, and they probably go to you for guidance. Yep. Where should I buy my luxury home? Because a lot of times these luxury buyers, they don't only just buy a home that they're moving into. It's more of a power play. It's a repositioning because they know eventually they'll probably end up selling it for a profit, right?
Yep.
How is that conversation, and like how do you guide that client in the right direction?
So that's such an interesting question, because the one thing I've taught my team to do, when clients come out, especially if they're coming out from California, it's always Henderson or Summerlin.
Yes.
Where should I live, right? And it's really just, to me, it always depends on the person and where they're coming from and what their needs are, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I always do when clients are coming to town, before I take them to any particular home or community, I'm like, look, we're going to spend a half a day driving Henderson, touring the communities. We're not going to even look at homes. And then we're going to spend half a day touring Summerlin and just really understanding the communities, because it's also about convenience for those clients. And it's not just about, the Ridges or Ascaya. It's about the community around it and how they're going to live on a daily basis. So, if there's somebody that likes to get up in the morning, they want to go to their coffee shop and then go to the gym, and then they're going to go, do something different, or their office is in the area. They want all those things to be positioned near their home so that it's convenient. And so that's why I like to tour them through the communities, find out what it is and how they live on a daily basis, and then try to help guide them in the best way that I can based off the community first. And then once they've narrowed down to the community that they want, whether it's Henderson or Summerlin or Southern Highlands, then take them to the homes and show them the homes. Because sometimes you can sell them on a home, then they start driving the area around it.
They don't like it.
They don't like it. And then they've got to start all over again.
So it almost seems like they're not buying a house. You're really buying a lifestyle.
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
Now let's talk about negotiating some of these luxury homes, right? I've noticed a couple of price reductions, 200,000, 100,000. How does that negotiating process work? Because obviously people that got money, they don't pay full price. Not all the time, but if they really want something, they'll pay full price. And obviously they're going to analyze it and play the game. Do you normally go in there and negotiate?
Yeah, I think we even had that challenge when we first opened Ascaya. The developer said, we're not negotiating on pricing. I'm like, you have to. And they're like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
We went by for about 4 months, no sales. And they're like, okay, I guess we have to negotiate. I'm like, because any buyer at this price point, like,
they want to feel like they get a deal.
And it's probably how they've made their money. They're good, they're good negotiators, right? Like, it's like how that's like so simple to figure out. Like they've made their money because they're good negotiators. And so, they want to negotiate. They want to feel like they got a deal. And so, I even prepare my sellers, even in a great market, be prepared to negotiate. Nobody wants to walk in feeling like they paid full price. And that they didn't get a chance to negotiate a little bit. And so I always tell my sellers right up front, hey, be prepared to negotiate, because no matter where that offer comes in, let's respond, let's counter. I've seen deals that were $1 million or $2 million apart.
Oh, wow.
Come together and work. And even the seller would be like, there's no way we're going to make this happen, or the buyer. And then we end up going back and forth. I've had as many as 11 counter offers on houses. And
I don't think I ever made 11 yet. Going back and forth, that's quite a bit.
you go back and
I'm
forth.
surprised you just didn't have a phone call. Hey, where are we at? What do we got to do? Where do we got to be?
I know everybody watches $1 Million Listing nowadays, and they think that's how the negotiating happens. But in my opinion, the challenge with that is that you're allowing the agents to make the decision in a way, even though they got to go back to the client.
Yeah,
there's something about emotional about seeing something in writing and knowing that you're literally a signature away.
Yeah.
For both parties, right? So when they see it in writing, because otherwise it's lip service. You can say whatever you want to say, but until it's in writing, it means nothing anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I always encourage the buyer or the seller on both sides. If we're not where you want to be yet, then let's counter. Let's counter, no matter how far apart we are, or how ridiculous it may seem. And I mean, I would say that probably 90% of the time, those deals come together.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me ask you this: when it comes to luxury listings, right? What do you consider luxury? What price point? Because I remember at $1 million, to me that was luxury. Now $1 million is not luxury. So I'm just curious. What's luxury to you?
I would say realistically, luxury in Southern Nevada now is $2 million plus. It was just 5 years ago. 900 to $1 million plus was really luxury. But I would say the luxury market really now starts at about $2 million.
And where most of your clients are coming from?
Most are coming from Southern California as far as the buyers.
Yeah.
Primarily, most of my business, 95% of it personally, is listings.
Yeah.
So those are all locals, of course. But the buyers that are coming in, I mean, we've got I would say, depending on the price point, but anywhere between 30 to 40% of those are coming from Southern California. The others are coming, you got another 5 or 10% that comes from other markets. And then the other 50% are the sellers selling their homes, buying another property here. So.
And what percentage is cash buyers, you would say?
Last year it was different, obviously, because the interest rate was so low. It was cheap money for them, so they elected to take loans out. In a normal market, once you get past $3 million, I'd say probably 75% of those are cash. Once you get north of $5 million, usually 90% of those are cash. So
now, is it a little bit harder to close on the financing deals when it comes to these jumbo loans?
No, and this is the other thing that I found is that usually. The banks are going to that client and saying, hey, we'll give you a loan for that house that you want to buy.
Yeah.
Right. They want that loan. So usually the banks are coming to them and it's a different process for a private banking client, right? Because usually these clients have their banking with that banking institution, meaning their businesses and everything. So it's easier for the bank to know where that person's financials are. They can take a quicker look because they have all their financials. And then a lot of times too, it's part of the servicing of their client. They want to be able to provide the client a loan for that property. And so, I mean, I've had deals. I did a deal not long ago. I think we got the loan done in 14 days. So
wow, 14 days.
Yeah. Yep. I would give it a shout out to that lender, but he would probably kill me if I told people that he could get a loan done in 14 days.
Yeah, but he probably busted his ass. However,
it wasn't easy.
He probably already had all the paperwork all up front, though, right? He already did all the homework, the heavy lifting.
It's one of their major clients that has a lot of their businesses with that bank.
Okay.
And so, yes, they definitely, I mean, they made a full-scale effort to make sure that got done in plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm sure with all his assets, underwriting that loan probably took quite some time and a toll on them. Yeah, I mean, 14 days is pretty quick for a jumbo loan, especially when you got a bunch of assets. You know what I mean?
And that loan was north of $5 million. So it was, but they made it happen. You know what I mean? And that's the, usually by the time you get to that level with that clientele, it's a quick phone call to the banker. The banker will tell you, where they're at and how quick they can get it done. So.
Well, that was a lot of great information, and what we're going to do is do a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back.
Is your credit score holding you back from purchasing a home? GC Credit Coaches is a repair company that's made easy. Their goal is to challenge and remove all negative errors that hurt your credit score. On average, GC clients see about 10.2 negative items removed over 4 months. Start improving your credit score today with a simple 2-minute online enrollment for a free consultation and a complete credit audit. GC Credit Coaches offers competitive monthly pricing, no contracts, no hidden fees, and the service stops once you are satisfied. GC Credit Coaches removes inquiries, collections, charge-off bankruptcies, and repossessions. Don't forget to visit gccreditcoaches.com. Does your house look like and have you been considering remodeling your home for some time now? Well, if you love real estate like I do and appreciate the attention to detail in the craftsmanship required to build a remodel or a gorgeous home, then I got the perfect company for you. Guys, I highly recommend Design Zone Remodeling. They are a stellar company that will turn your outdated home into your own personal sanctuary. They specialize in bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, and full house remodels. Design Zone Remodeling has a reputation for excellent workmanship, competitive fees, and being able to offer a wide range of services and deliver the outstanding results to their clients. I use Design Zone Remodeling on my personal properties. Give Design Zone Remodeling a call today at 725-223-0871 or visit their website at designzoneremodeling.com to request a free consultation today.
All right, we are back. If you guys are just tuning in, this is Chakits with Simply Vegas, licensed real estate agent out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So today with my special guest, Darren, we're talking about some luxury real estate out here. He's got a lot of information for you. So let's get right back into it. What'd you think about the commercials there?
Dude, I love it, man. This is so fun in here. Like
Is it really?
A lot of energy, man. This is cool. Yeah.
I try to bring the energy, you know
I
what I mean?
love it.
All right, I want to get back into the luxury market. I think this is important, but before we get really into it, okay, what company do you hang your license with?
Huntington and Ellis.
Okay, how long you been with them?
I've been with them now 3 years.
Okay, and you got a team, right?
Yep.
And are you looking for more real estate agents to join your team?
Always recruiting, man.
Nice.
I always say my theory is I'm like a pro sports team.
Yeah.
Every year I'm recruiting and bringing on new talent. So
all I know is, look, man, if I ever had to join a team, you're probably a team I want to join with. I love the vibe, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
Love that energy.
Appreciate
that. If you are a real estate agent, and if I'm not the right fit for you, I got a guy that may be.
Yeah, give me a call.
I will have a link in the description below, also in the comments too as well. So if you guys want to join a team, I'm sure there's certain qualifications. Or are you just taking on anybody?
You know, it's funny, man. Everybody always asks, "Oh, do you take on seasoned agents?"
Yeah.
I like new agents.
Do you
know
really?
why? Because I can train them how I want to train them.
Yeah.
They don't come with any bad habits.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a balance. I take a look at everyone. I don't shut anybody out. You know, I think back to myself when I started with Florence and Ivan. Thank God they gave me an opportunity. And so I always like to, you know, for me, it's about personality. I want to make sure it's a good fit. I want to make sure they're getting into luxury for the right reason, right? Some people have different intentions when they get into luxury. So I want to make sure that their intentions are not for the wrong ones, and that they're really here to serve the client, and that, you know, luxury is just a price point. But it's really about how they want to serve the client and that type of stuff, which is important. So
now, is that all you guys services, is luxury clients?
No, we service all price ranges.
Yeah.
You know, I would say the only difference in a luxury listing versus a, you know, let's just say $500,000 listing, you get the same level of service as far as what you get from our team.
Yeah.
The only difference on the high end is that we will typically have a showing agent present showing that property on the high end. And the level of marketing, and that all comes down to just dollars, right? I mean, there's only so much I can spend on a $500,000 home versus a $5 million home, where the payoff's going to be a lot higher.
Okay.
So,
the luxury market, what's going on right now in the luxury market?
So, you know, there's this perception out there that the market's come to a screeching halt, which we all know on the lower price points it has. But luxury has still continued to tick along. And so, you know, and part of that reason is there's a couple factors. One is that, you know, a large driving, whatever you want to call it, a reason behind our luxury market doing so well in Nevada is Southern California buyers, right?
Yeah.
And we know taxes are not going to change anytime soon in California. If anything, it'll probably go up. And so that's continuing to drive those buyers here to Southern Nevada. There's also what a lot of people have never thought about is that, you know, initially when a lot of Southern California buyers started moving here, a lot of people were reluctant to move to Southern Nevada because they just heard, you know, it's not a great community and it's not a great place for families and that type of stuff.
That's not true, though.
Not true at all. And I grew up here, so I used to take offense to it a little bit. But it's so what I'm finding is that as families move here, it's the migration of other family members moving here. So that's why we're continuing to see that influx. Also, you know, the interest rates don't really affect the luxury buyer like it's going to affect on the lower price points. So, you know, the luxury buyers are still coming in. Believe it or not, we actually see fairly low inventory in the luxury market. Some buyers, they don't believe that until you send them all the properties and they're like, this is it. I'm like, yep, that's it. And so there's still, and a lot of that, people forget 2009 to 2014, there was no construction going on. There was no building. Yeah. So we're behind. And I think even on the lower price points, as we go back into first quarter, once we see interest rates drop a little bit, we're going to be right back in the same problem we had the last 2 years, which is we're going to have a shortage of inventory.
Is it cheaper to build a custom home versus just buying one off the secondary market?
Typically not. I mean, you might, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get away with a lower price, but that's the other thing too, is in the lower price point custom homes, if you were building a 1 to 2 million, usually that person is building that price point to save money.
Yeah.
Right. Once you get to the luxury market, that's not really, they're building what they want. Right.
Yeah.
So yes, they're watching their dollars, right? They don't want to overspend either. They're not idiots. But they want to build what they want to build. And so, you can see construction costs go from, some homes might be $550 a square foot. Some of them can be $1,500 a square foot. Really depends on what they're putting into the home, where the home's being built, all that stuff.
So are we seeing more home sales on the luxury side? I'm going to say 2 million and up in 2022 versus 2021.
Yeah. And actually, I just pulled some stats the other day. It's interesting. Overall, our year-to-date sales on the 2 million plus has actually been higher.
Wow, that's fascinating.
The 3 to I just looked for September, October, November, 3 to 5 million. Believe it or not, we were only 2 units less than we were last year at the same time. And on the 5 million plus, we were 8 units less. But really, I believe part of that factors into that is the lower inventory. Last year, we had a lot of great homes on the market that came to the market. This year, there's not as many of them there because you're also getting the opposite effect in this market where people are now saying, hey, I'm not going to get the price that I wanted. I'm going to pull the home off the market and I'll wait.
And what's the average days on the market for a luxury listing right now?
It's going to depend on the price point and the neighborhood. I mean, you can be anywhere from realistically 90 days to as much as 6 to 9 months, depending on the price point. Because there's like these different segments, right? There's like the 2 million to 3 million.
Yeah.
Then there's like the 3 to 5, the like 5 to 8 or 10. And then once you get over 10 million, that's a whole different market.
It's like a niche within a niche within a niche.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you're saying that the luxury market is moving a lot faster or just a little bit, less than 2021, correct?
It's remained steady, yeah.
Yeah, so it's moving. Steady.
Yeah.
But why is it at the 650 and below, it's pretty much stagnant? Why do we have more options at that price point versus the luxury?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the interest rates, right? It scared people.
Yeah.
And so, I tell everybody this. I said, it's just like gas prices. When gas prices went from $2 to $5, people freaked out. And then when the gas price goes back down to $3.99, people are really excited that it's $3.99. And I think we're going to see the same thing with interest rates. And I've spoken with several lenders lately. Both of these guys have been in the lending business for over 30 years. And all of them are consistent with what they've said, is that we're probably looking at end of January to 1st of February for interest rates to really start to dip. And they really believe that once we hit that back in the 5s, that we're going to see a flood of people coming back in because 5 is going to now seem like a deal. And both of them felt that probably by March, we'll be back down in the 4s.
Well, if we take a look at core CPI, and core CPI right now is at 7.1%. Fed's target rate is about 3% at this time. Obviously, they just raised rates by half of a point, basis points. 2023, they're talking about raising it again and again. I mean, do you think this is really going to impact the luxury market, or do you think it's going to increase the luxury market? Because it seems like the luxury market right now, people are just buying it cash. Like they got money. There's a lot of money being printed, right? So it seems like the wealthy got wealthier and they got to park their money somewhere. Yeah,
and the wealthy also look for opportunities, right? Yeah. So they know now's a good time to buy, you get good deals because there's people that need to liquidate. And so they'll buy the good deals and they'll wait until the market recovers and then they'll sell those good deals. So, that's why the luxury market remains, in my opinion, it will remain stable, is because there's always going to be the buyers out there looking for deals and they'll get those deals from the sellers that are needing to sell. And then again, you've got the tax reasons why, we've got a large amount of luxury clients that are moving here because they can save a significant amount on their taxes, to help offset some of those other increases, right?
And I think that's more of the people that are making a lot of money versus the average person here.
Correct.
Here in the state that's making $70,000 a year, which at 70,000 you're probably only qualified roughly about the 450, 500 range, and rates where they are today. On a 500, I think your mortgage payment's almost like 2,800 with taxes and insurance.
Yeah.
So with everything is getting more inflated as far as like, gas, food, and all that stuff. Matter of fact, I just had a conversation with my wife the other day. She was telling me that she's seen somebody at the grocery store. They spent over $1,000 on groceries. So people got to cut back somewhere, right? So where do they cut back? So obviously, buying a home is more of a luxury item, to go out and buy a home. And it's like, why spend $2,800 when I could rent for $22, save that $600, and apply that towards food costs and all that stuff. And I understand, at that price point, it's very hard. And I think that's the reason why it kind of slowed down a little bit at that price point. But then when we're talking about $2, $3, $4 million homes, you got to understand that when the Fed's printing more money, all that was a gateway for guys that make real money. They'll go out and borrow more money. They'll leverage out that more money, right? Yep. And what they did was they went back out into the marketplace and utilized it. And it seems like they're getting richer and richer, which means that they're probably able to buy homes now versus the guys that are only making less than $70,000 a year.
Yeah, and I mean, look at everybody's companies over the last couple of years. They've been more profitable than they've ever been for so many different reasons, right? And people have been profitable with just selling their home. Yeah. They had tons of equity in their home, so they made a ton of money off their home, so they sold it. Now they're buying something else. But I don't know, man. I think you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago that I've been in sales since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
In every industry, and I've seen this happen so many times in every decade. Of course you have your downturns. You have to have your downturns. If we didn't have downturns, where would the prices be today? Right? They would just keep climbing. So
then you're gonna wish you had a 6% interest rate.
Exactly. So I mean, these adjustments. These adjustments are good for the market because it levels things back out. It'll bring some pricing back down. Interest rates will eventually come back down. Then people can jump back in the market. They can buy the home at a lower price. Hopefully there's a little bit more inventory at that time, so it'll give them some more options. It's funny. I listened to agents like a year ago. They were all complaining that there was no homes, right? There was plenty of buyers, but no homes.
Yeah.
Now they're complaining, there's no buyers. So
what do you see for 2023? Your personal opinion. What are your thoughts?
Man, I'm an eternal optimist, so it wouldn't matter what's going on. I'm always going to see the light.
Yeah.
And that's the way I try to live, just because you can be negative about it. And of course there's and I always laugh when I hear these experts on TV. It's like, well, the market could do really well this year, but there's also a chance that it might not. And it's like, okay, well, it's just a 50-50, right? So in my opinion, with everything that I'm seeing on the luxury side, again, I think we're going to remain stable. And I think the luxury market will continue to move along. The lower price points, I think we're gonna see the interest rates drop. And I think, again, inventory, if I recall correctly, in Las Vegas alone, over the last 60 days has been dropping 10% a week, which a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
And because you don't hear any news on that, right? So I think by the time we get to end of first quarter, we're going to have a shortage of inventory for a couple of reasons. I heard a stat not long ago that's over 83% of people in the Las Vegas Valley have 6 figures plus of equity in their home.
Yeah, I actually did post some numbers the other day, and I posted it on Instagram. And, a lot of people have a low interest rate, right? Number one. And they have such a low payment, they're not going to move.
Yep.
Right? And the equity spread is about 40% from, the all-time high of 485. Mm-hmm. So it would literally have to drop another like 30-40% just to get to where they actually bought in 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Yep.
Because we literally spiked up from there like dramatically.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fascinating. So it's almost like you don't know which way that pendulum is going to swing. So if somebody tells you like, oh, the market is going to crash. Okay, number one, define a crash, right?
Yeah.
And how do you know how down it's going to go? Is it going to go down 10%? Is it going to go down 15%, right?
Yeah, you could never predict.
You can never predict it. So I always tell my clients, like, I think it's best to figure out your situation, your financial situation. If you're buying based upon speculation, then you probably shouldn't be buying.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you're buying based upon speculation where I'm going to buy and hold this for 2 years, maybe you're buying for the wrong reasons. But if you're going to say, hey, you know what? I need a place to stay. You know what? I'm okay with the rates. If I want to refinance out, if it's lower, then, that's fine, because who knows if rates do drop and next thing you know it, there's no homes. Now you're in a situation where there's no homes. Now you got to buy the home that you don't want to buy when you could have bought today and you just refinanced it later on down the line. So like real estate is almost like a game, would you say?
Oh yeah, most definitely, man.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's really gambling, right? Like you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. So
just buy what you want.
Exactly. Well, and it's funny you say that, because that's the same question I ask my clients when they're worried about the market. I'm like, well, is your plan, are you going to only hold the house for a year to 2 years? And they're like, well, no, we're going to live in it. And I go, for how long? Well, probably 10 to 15 years. And I go, do you think in the next 10 to 15 years that home will increase in value? And they're like, well, yeah, of course it will. And I'm like, okay, well, there's your answer. You know what I mean? There's never a perfect time. I've seen this, happen so many times, and I just saw it again this last year. Yeah. People kept waiting. Well, I'm going to wait till the market gets a little higher. It's going to get a little higher. And then literally within weeks it shifted. And now they're like, oh shit, man, I should have put my home on the market 3 months ago.
What's so crazy about that is that about 4 years ago, I'm watching all this propaganda, and I told you earlier, I'm into like economics and stuff like that, right? So I was thinking that the market is going to crash. I literally had a duplex that I could have bought for like $40,000. Was a short sale. I had another home under contract for like $80,000. I got paranoid. Yeah. I thought the market was going to crash.
Yeah.
You know how much these things are worth today? I would have made another $500,000 in the bank.
I bet. Well, it's funny. I tell people all the time, I bought my house in 2016.
Yeah.
And literally every realtor I knew, they're like, dude, you're an idiot for buying a house right now. And I'm like, why? And they're like, the market's going to crash. The market's going to dip again. And this is a bad time to buy. That was 2016. My home's worth twice, even with the downturn now, my home's worth twice what it was in 2016. So
that's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I mean, it's a learning lesson. I mean, it is what it is. Real estate is very cyclical. I mean, it goes up and down. It can be volatile.
Yep.
And another thing that people are not aware of, we're coming towards a downturn. I've noticed this during the winter time, right? October, November, December, and January are kind of like the slower months.
Yeah.
For the whole year, right?
Traditionally, it's always been that way. Yeah.
So a lot of people out there are really pushing this, like, yo, this thing's gonna crash. This thing's gonna crash, but they're basing it upon what's going on right now. I think we're gonna get more of a real indicator with the first quarter of the year.
Yep.
Once we get past that, then we can kind of figure out where we're gonna go. Now, if somebody wants to buy a luxury home, who do they contact?
Well, they contact me.
That's right. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
702-485-7755.
Okay.
You can always call me, text me. They can email me at Darren@dmgluxury.com. And or they can message me through Instagram or Facebook if they follow us on there at DMG Luxury. So.
And I'm also going to have a link in the description below. So York, I'm sure you're watching this. Go ahead and put his full contact information. And if you want to become a luxury real estate agent, right, for an interview with my man.
Yeah.
So best way, same number?
Same number.
Same number?
Yep.
Okay. For one piece of advice for a buyer that's getting into the luxury market, what can you share with them before we let everybody go?
Probably the most important thing is take your time in finding the right property. Make sure that it's been, inspected and you've got the appraisal on it, of course. But get some details about the home, as far as find out who the architect was, find out who the builder was, so you can get some details on who built that house and what's in it.
It's a lot of great information. I do appreciate your time coming on out here. It means a lot to me. Now, if you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Until next week at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm out. Peace.